And so continuing from the ayat that we stopped last week, that the disbelievers are in a contradiction. إِنَّكُمْ لَفِي قَوْلٍ مُخْتَلِفٍ. That they do not believe in the hereafter, and that what is promised to come, that this is not true. And this is a response to the qasam that is taken before it, the oath that is taken before it, that by the heaven streaked with interlaced tracks, وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتِ الْحُبُكِ, you are deeply in varying contradictive statements about the hereafter. إِنَّكُمْ لَفِي قَوْلٍ مُخْتَلِفٍ. Yet anyone who is diverted from belief in this is most surely diverted from divine guidance. يُؤْفَكُ عَنْهُ مَنْ أُفِكَ. The one who is diverted away from the guidance is surely diverted away from it, right? The one who is diverted from the guidance, he is diverted away from the guidance. يُؤْفَكُ عَنْهُ مَنْ أُفِكَ. No one turns away from the guidance except who was written to turn away. قُتِلَ الْخَرَّاسُونَ. Destroyed are the kharrasun. Khars is to lie. However, it is to lie and attempt to create something which has no basis or foundation. So this is khars. الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي غَمْرَةٍ سَاهُونَ. Those who are immersed in ignorance, mindless of their fate. يَسْأَلُونَ أَيَّانَ يَوْمُ الدِّينِ. And this is where we continue. That they ask in mockery, when shall be the day of judgment? So they are drowning in their heedless and ignorance. And then they wake up and they ask out of mockery, when will be the day of resurrection? So then in response, they're told when the day will be. Allah Ta'ala says, when will the day be? يَوْمَهُمْ عَلَى النَّارِ يُفْتَنُونَ. It will be the day when they shall be tormented over the fire of hell. يَوْمَهُمْ عَلَى النَّارِ يُفْتَنُونَ. The day that they will be tormented. And over here Allah Ta'ala uses the word yuftanun, which is from the word fitna. Generally we use the word fitna as test. What is the original meaning of fitna, fatana? It means when you burn gold, or when you burn any sort of mineral to purify it from any other beings that could be in it. So you purify the gold from anything else, so you burn it and you purify it, right? You clean it. So they will be burned on the fire on that day. That's the day. They're asking when the day is, that's when the day will be. That's for them the description of what the day and when it will be. ذُوقُوا فِتْنَتَكُمْ. It will be said to them, taste the torment of your trial. هَذَا الَّذِي كُنْتُمْ بِهِ تَسْتَعْجِلُونَ. It is this that you were seeking to hasten in life. So like this, the connection of this surah with the Surah Al-Qaf, which is before it, is of course the same relation in that it discusses hereafter. It discusses hereafter, it discusses the punishment and reward. So ذُوقُوا فِتْنَتَكُمْ. Taste the torment of your trial. The scholars say that ذُوقُوا referring to that Allah Ta'ala, one possible meaning is that Allah Ta'ala is saying rhetorically to them that you shall taste, right? You shall taste even the pain of your punishment. You will taste it in the hereafter. Or other scholars literally say that every channel by which the insan can be punished, they will feel the punishment. So even up till the taste, they will taste the punishment. Every channel by which they can experience it, those channels will be open, so that they experience the punishment completely. إِنَّ الْمُتَّقِينَ فِي جَنَّاتٍ وَعُيُونٍ. Then there is a change of passage. Allah Ta'ala says, as to the God-fearing, they shall forever be in gardens in the hereafter, in gardens and springs. The muttaqi is the one who protects himself. Taqwa is to protect yourself from that which Allah prohibits. So the lowest rank of a muttaqi is what? The person who protects himself from shirk. What's the foundational thing Allah prohibits? Shirk. So the foundational or the beginner level of what it means to be a muttaqi is when a person protects himself from shirk. Right? And then the highest level of the muttaqi is the one who protects himself from everything besides Allah. مَن يَتَّقِي كُلَّ مَا سِوَاهُ. One who protects himself from everything besides Allah. So the muttaqeen, those who are people of taqwa, they are in gardens and springs. One of the scholars of TAFSEER mentions a beautiful point. He says that in the Quran, when Allah Ta'ala mentions the word Jannah or Jannat, whenever the discussion is about doing good deeds so that you can obtain Jannah, that you need to do your responsibility in face of Jannah, Allah Ta'ala uses the singular Jannah. He uses the singular noun. Jannat is plural, gardens. But whenever Allah Ta'ala mentions your responsibility, your a'mal, things like that, He mentions one Jannah. So that you can keep in mind that you need to, Jannah is one, you need to practice for it, you need to work for it, so that you can gain entrance into it. But when He talks about what you're promised, when the promise is being mentioned, that what you will be given, Allah Ta'ala usually uses the plural, Jannat, gardens, to say that whatever you're working for, in comparison to what you will be given, right? Your work, in comparison to what you will be given a lot more. You will be given multiplied. You will be given in the plural. So even if you're working and your work is valid for a single paradise, Allah Ta'ala will give you high ranks in paradise. Allah Ta'ala will give you, right, a multitude of rewards. So whenever Allah Ta'ala mentions the promise of Jannah to the believers, He mentions it in plural to show His fadl, His generosity. That I will be generous when I give you. I will be generous when I reward you. Also, of course, this points to us what? That Jannah is one, however there are various ranks in Jannah. And the various ranks in Jannah are like various gardens, various Jannat in Jannah. Various different types of gardens in paradise. Right? And the springs, the different springs that they will have to enjoy from. آخِذِينَ مَا آتَاهُمْ رَبُّهُمْ. Receiving all that their Lord has given them. آخِذِينَ مَا آتَاهُمْ رَبُّهُمْ. They will take whatever their Lord gives to them. The taking refers to the pleasure. You only take something when you're pleased with it. So they will take it because they are pleased with it. And what will they take? Everything and anything that their Lord gives them. Why? Because what their Lord will give them in the hereafter, in Jannah, it will be that which will please them. So in this life, when you try to pleasure yourself, when you try to take something in this life to please yourself, right, many of times it doesn't please you. Many times it doesn't give you peace. But in Jannah, a lot of times people will ask, will I have this in Jannah or will I have that in Jannah? You will have everything that will please you. Right? You will have everything that will please you. Will there be sadness or grief in Jannah? Will there be worry or anxiety in Jannah? Nothing of such sort. Only pleasure. Only you will only receive that which will give you happiness. Besides that, nothing will be available in Jannah. Only that which will give you pleasure, happiness, joy. And so anything that the Lord will give you, it will be of that sort. And you will take it. And you will take it happily. آخِذِينَ مَا آتَاهُمْ رَبُّهُمْ. They will take what their Lord gives them. إِنَّهُمْ كَانُوا قَبْلَ ذَلِكَ مُحْسِنِينَ. Indeed, before this, they were doers of good in this world. They were people of ihsan. They perfected their deen. They did good things in this life. Right? They did good things in this life. Then, in the next ayat, Allah Ta'ala describes what is it that they did that was good. What was their ihsan? What was their beauty in their performance of the deen? كَانُوا قَلِيلًا مِنَ اللَّيْلِ مَا يَهْجَعُونَ. Little of the night did they lie down. Reality is that this ayah, you would think is such a simple ayah to translate. Very difficult ayah to translate actually. كَانُوا قَلِيلًا مِنَ اللَّيْلِ مَا يَهْجَعُونَ. That little of the night did they lie down. Firstly, referring to the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, right? So this refers to the Sahaba radiallahu anhum firstly, and then the rest of the good doers of the Ummah. كَانُوا قَلِيلًا مِنَ اللَّيْلِ مَا يَهْجَعُونَ. That they would sleep very less. Now grammatically, this ayah, Allah Ta'ala is trying to tell us that they're sleeping very less. But even the grammar of this ayah informs us that they used to sleep very less. How so? كَانُوا. Kanu is fi'al naqis. It's known as a verb which is naqis. Naqis means an incomplete verb. Right? So, an incomplete verb, however, right, when it comes before a verb, يَدُلُّ عَلَى الْإِسْتِمْرَارِ. It tells us, it informs us that there's continuity. So this was something continuously that they did. That they continuously did not spend their night sleeping, rather they slept very less continuously. Kanu is fi'al naqis, incomplete verb. Qalilan, it means, what does it mean? It means very less, a little. Qalil means a little. But qalil, the word is nakira here. So not just, a specific little amount, but a very little amount. Min al-layli. Min has different ma'ani, has different meanings. Why is min here? Allah Ta'ala could have said, Kanu qalilan ma yahja'un. So you have another word to explain min al-layli. Already Allah Ta'ala said very little, then very little from the night. From what they have of the night, very little from that as well. Min al-layl, min lit-tab'id. Min is sometimes inform us about, from something, a portion of something. So very less, and then from the portion of the night, very less from that as well. Ma yahja'un. So ma yahja'un, haja' itself, what does it refer? What does it mean? It means, the scholars mention several meanings, but it's not just to sleep, but it's when a person sleeps very lightly, not a deep sleep, but a very light sleep. One sound will wake the person up. Very light sleep, right? So they would, some of the scholars say yahja'un refers to then just laying down, not even sleeping, right? But laying down. So كانوا قليلا من الليل ما يهجعون. كانوا fi'al naqis, qalil means very less. Min al-layl, even then min al-layl, tab'id, some of the night. Ma yahja'un, they would, and haja also then refers to a little bit of sleep. So you can see now just from the beauty of this ayah that Allah Ta'ala, through the grammar, He's explaining to us that people of good sleep less. People who are good doers, people of ihsan, perfect their deen, they sleep less. So the Sahaba radhiyallahu anhum would sleep less. وَبِالْأَسْحَارِ هُمْ يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ. For at the night's end, they would seek Allah's forgiveness. So in the last portion of the night, as comes in hadith, the Messenger of Allah said, it's more beloved to me to perform salah in the last portion of the night than in the first portion. Right? So the last portion of the night is very significant, very time of tanazzul or rahmat, that the mercies of Allah Ta'ala comes down in abundance. His forgiveness comes down in abundance. Right? Allah Ta'ala calls out to see, is there anyone seeking forgiveness? So وَبِالْأَسْحَارِ هُمْ يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ. At that time they would seek forgiveness of Allah. Whether that was in their prayer or whether that was outside of their prayer. It's a time of istighfar. So the suhoor, that time is a very blessed time and a time of istighfar. So Allah Ta'ala is praising the people who, and this is something to think about when you fast, right? that when the time of fasting, when you're, even when you're eating, the scholars say, even when you're eating, you should try to keep yourself busy in dhikr. Keep yourself busy in dhikr. And before that, be busy in istighfar, in salah and istighfar. وَفِي أَمْوَالِهِمْ حَقُّ مَعْلُومٍ. And in their wealth was a rightful share of charity for the beggar and the destitute, that they understood, right? One possible meaning, the scholars say this is referring to the zakat, because the zakat is a haqq, it's a fard, it's an obligation. So they would pay the zakat. The others say it's just in general, that these people of good, they allotted and they knew that a portion of their wealth was for those who are not as fortunate as them. It is for them, right? So that no matter what, right, whether we're paying the zakat or we've already fulfilled it or not, but still to give to the beggar in the mindset that, it's not me favoring the beggar, rather it's the right of the beggar over me that I have to give him. There's a difference in the approach. Right? One is that a person thinks I'm favoring those who are needy, and one is that a person believes that no, this wealth only came to me because Allah gave it to me. Right? And give the wealth that Allah gives you, as it comes in another place in the Quran. Give the wealth that Allah gives you. Right? Give the wealth that Allah gives you. So this wealth is given to me by Allah, and in it there are shares of other people. This is the beautiful way in how Muslims are supposed to have their financial orientation. Right? That they should understand that those who are not as fortunate as them, family members, neighbors, all of these people have rights to them. All of these people have rights to them. And so you have to give them from your wealth. So in their wealth there is a rightful share, لِسَائِل, the beggar, وَالْمَحْرُوم. Mahroom, some of the scholars say it refers to the one who's also needy, but he doesn't show it. So the one who doesn't show that he's needy in society, but he is needy. That person is needy, that person is mahroom. وَفِي الْأَرْضِ آيَاتٌ لِلْمُوقِنِينَ. And in all throughout the skies, there are wondrous signs of Allah for those who are firm in faith. وَفِي الْأَرْضِ آيَاتٌ لِلْمُوقِنِينَ. In the earth there are signs for those people who want to bring conviction in their life, for those who are firm in faith. لِلْمُوقِنِينَ. Those who want to bring certainty in their life, they can find many signs for that in the world. And this is, right, there's the ayat ufuqiyya and the ayat nafsiyya. The signs that you have around you in the creation, right, which is why Allah Ta'ala wants us to ponder on creation so much. Look at creation, spend time with nature. Right? Spend time with nature. This is a big problem that we have today, that we don't spend time with Allah's creation. We're so much engrossed in the creation of the insan, which is true, right? Insan also has the ability to create to some degree, only through the knowledge that Allah gives him. Right? Insan cannot create from nothing. Insan will never be able to create from nothing. That's part of Allah's sifah, His attribute. But He blesses the insan with some knowledge. Now when that insan gets a bit of that knowledge and then blinds himself and thinks that, look at my ability, right? Look at the technology that I've created. Look at what I've done for the world. And then they become blinded of the fact that all of this goes back to Allah. And then all they see is only the creation of insan. فَتَشَابَهَ الْخَلْقُ عَلَيْهِمْ, as it comes in another place in the Quran. That the disbelievers assign partners to Allah. The disbelievers assign partners to Allah. أَمْ جَعَلُوا اللَّهِ شُرَكَاءَ خَلَقُوا كَخَلْقِهِ. That create the way He creates. These partners in their mind, they assume that they can create the way He creates. Right? So you have so much technology that and again, this technology within itself is nothing wrong with it. But if your foundation of your philosophy, of your mindset is that, you know, that, oh wow, look, AI can do so much, we don't even need the Lord, right? We don't even need, there's no miracles anymore. Look how much the insan has done. It's about the insan then, right? Then you'll get confused, you'll get lost. And the dajjal, the confusion which the fitna of Dajjal will bring, you'll get lost in that. You won't see signs. This is why it's very important to spend time with the dirt, the earth, the soil, right? Why? Because it reminds you of yourself, that you're made from dirt. It reminds you of how Allah created you, right? This is very important. So having a connection with the earth, nature, this is very important. There are signs in it for us, right? Now we have to look at our phone for salah times. Right? What was it before? You looked in the sky. So that every single time when you prayed, you looked in the sky and you remembered, wow, subhanAllah, I will turn myself to the creator of the sky. I'm going to turn myself now to the creator of the sky. Right? So there are signs in the earth, the ayat. لِلْمُوقِنِينَ. Those signs will give you conviction. So what does that mean also? Science or studying Allah's creation should only give you more yaqeen. If it's giving you doubt, that means there's something wrong in your study and your approach. There's something wrong in your approach and your study. If you cannot reconcile between study of the apparent world and then study of that which is part of the unseen, right? Allah's creativity, who Allah is. If you cannot reconcile between science and religion, there's a problem in your approach, not in either of these studies. وَفِي أَنفُسِكُمْ أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ. And then within yourselves as well, there are various signs. Fine, you're blind from the world, you just need to look in yourself. Rather, the scholars of the tafsir of this ayah, they write that there's nothing on the earth for the human being to see or to experience or to see, except that it's within himself. The insan, as it comes in the poem of Ali radiallahu anhu, that وَتَحْسَبُ أَنَّكَ جُرْمٌ صَغِيرٌ وَفِيكَ انْطَوَى الْعَالَمُ الْأَكْبَرُ. That you think that you're just a very small microcosm. You look at the galaxies, you look at the stars, and you think, wow, subhanAllah, so many great beings. Well, guess what? You within yourself, and it's true, isn't it? Didn't Allah Ta'ala say that we created the insan ahsana taqweem? We created the insan as the best of creation. There was, at the time of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, one of the men, right, and I don't try this at home, but one of the men, he said to his wives that if you are not, and talaq is not a joke, right, so we never joke about it, but this person, he said to his wife that if you are not more beautiful than the moon, then I divorce you. He said, if you are not more beautiful than the moon, then I divorce you. So then the woman became very worried. That does this mean I'm divorced now? What's going to happen? I'm divorced. She took her things and she moved. Then the matter affair was taken to the scholars of the time. And then the scholars, all of them said, she's divorced. They all came together and then they said that she's divorced. Then the matter was brought in front of the qadi, the judge, to solidify it. And the Khalifa was also Mansur at the time. He was brought into the matter and he heard the matter. When the scholars were all put together, there was one of the scholars who was quiet and he didn't say anything. One of the students of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, Imam Adham. And so then they asked him that everyone's given their opinion, but you've been silent. Why don't you say something? He said, in my opinion, she's not divorced. Why? Then he recited Surah Al-Teen. Surah Al-Teen. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. Allah Ta'ala says we created the insan in the most beautiful and perfect fashion. So there's an ahsan taqweem, most beautiful and perfect fashion. So the insan is more beautiful than the moon, therefore she's more beautiful than the moon, and she hasn't been divorced then. Right? The point being that the insan is Far more marvelous than even the entire universe. If the insan were to look inside of himself, look inside of herself, right? وَفِي أَنفُسِكُمْ, there are many signs, so many signs. And so then one of the scholars of tafsir, he mentions, what are those signs? The reality is that those signs, la hasr, you cannot count them. But some of the, go back to just the physiological signs you can get from your, modern science can tell you how your body works. Right? Just those signs, those miraculous things. Right? For the people of the past, it was a miracle that how the windpipe is separate, the food pipe is separate. Right? They acknowledge this. Right? So many people, when they see dialysis patients, what do they say? That the small kidney that's like this big is doing what a giant machine has to do, and that you have to have a paid person on a salary to watch the machine of dialysis. Right? There's so many different examples of just your physiological being. Then there's your spiritual ruh. What about the marvel of that? Right? That something which Allah Ta'ala has attributed to Himself, min amri Rabb, min amri Rabbi. Right? That the soul is something divine, it will live eternal, it will never be destroyed. What a marvelous creation. Right? This whole entire universe will be destroyed, but the arwah of the believers, the souls of the believers will never be destroyed. Right? So the insan, you yourself are something to marvel about. Think about yourself, look in yourself. أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ. This is almost like Allah Ta'ala is telling us what's wrong with you. Why aren't you seeing? It's right in front of you. Right in front of you. But this is also part of the ghafla, the heedlessness of the insan. We have eyes that look outside of us. So we see everything outside, but we don't see anything inside. To look inside, it takes an active choice. To reflect, this is why you have to reflect. To do that, you have to make an active choice. Otherwise, that's why we're very exterior focused creatures. Always to the outworld. We're looking at the outworld, but we're never looking inside. And even if you look at your body from the outside, your body from the outside is nowhere near as complex as your body from the inside. Right? That's just the body. What about everything else? Right? So many signs within yourself. وَفِي السَّمَاءِ رِزْقُكُمْ. And in the heaven is the origin of all of your provision. وَمَا تُوعَدُونَ. And therein as well is all that you are promised. وَفِي السَّمَاءِ رِزْقُكُمْ. Some of the scholars say this is referring to just the basic idea of the rain in the sky and how that rain falls to the earth. And then from that earth comes all of your provision. Right? So animals and plants all connected to the earth. So that rizq comes from the sky. Number two being that this refers to the fact that your rizq is something which is ordained to you by Allah. It's ordained from beyond the sky. There's nothing you can do to change it. You will not collect more than what was written for you, nor less. Right? Nor less. And when you have collected everything was written for you, your life will end then. What is the hadith of the Messenger of Allah ﷺ? That no person will complete their life حَتَّى تَسْتَوْفِيَ رِزْقَهَا. Right? Until they have completely collected their rizq. When you've collected your rizq, then there's nothing more to live for on the dunya, in this life. Right? So, وَفِي السَّمَاءِ رِزْقُكُمْ. وَفِي السَّمَاءِ رِزْقُكُمْ. Your rizq lies in the sky. So what does that also mean then? If you want an increase in your rizq, raise your hand to the sky. Raise your hand to Allah. Your rizq is in the sky. Ask Allah, He will give you. And another point being that your rizq has been muqaddar, already written for you from the sky. It's already preordained. One of the scholars, he's written very beautifully. What does he say? He says, when it comes to your rizq, we will make a lot of effort to try to increase it. When in the reality is that we will only get what was written for us. That doesn't mean don't work hard. Work hard, that's fine. But if you work hard and you get something, that's because Allah had written it for you. If you work hard and you don't get something, that's because Allah also didn't write it for you. That's something we don't really have much control over. How much rizq, we don't have much control over. But what do we have control over that we don't pay attention to? How do we handle our finances? Where do we spend? That's what we have control over. Do you have control over, maybe I think my solution is I need to make more money. Maybe the actual solution is I need to spend my money better. I need to make better choices in the way I spend my money. Right? So your rizq is in the sky. Imam Shafi rahimahullah would say as well that in one of his poems that وَالرِّزْقُ لَيْسَ يَنْقُصُهُ التَّأَنِّي وَلَيْسَ يَزِيدُ فِي الرِّزْقِ الْعَنَاءُ. That calming down and slowing yourself down a bit, this will not decrease your rizq. And exhausting yourself will not increase your rizq. What was written for you, you will obtain that, you will collect it. فَوَرَبِّ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ إِنَّهُ لَحَقٌّ مِثْلَ مَا أَنَّكُمْ تَنْطِقُونَ. And this is the last ayah, I will conclude here. So by the Lord of the heaven and the earth, the promise of resurrection and recompense is most true, surely true, just as sure as you can speak. So the disbelievers think that everything they're saying is a joke, or only what they say is reality. Right? Everything, just like the way you're saying it now, how it's a reality, that's exactly how the hereafter, the truth will manifest in front of you. The truth will come in front of you. The manifestation of the hereafter, the establishment of justice, all of this will take place by the Lord of the sky and the earth. And we'll conclude here and continue from ayah number 24 inshallah next week. We ask Allah Ta'ala that He grant us understanding of this, deeper understanding and the ability to practice, and forgive us for any shortcomings in our attempt to understand it. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Sadaqallahu al-azim. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. Subhanallahi wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka Allahumma